Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and a number of Senate Democrats have finally introduced a bill to federally decriminalize marijuana. It's called the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act. But the bill has a steep uphill battle, y'all. Public support for legalizing recreational marijuana is at a record high. A CBS poll from earlier this year found 66%, that's two-thirds, 66% of Americans support legalizing recreational use both in their state and federally. So far, 37 states and the District of Columbia have legalized the use of cannabis to varying degrees. Of those, 19 states and Washington, D.C. have legalized recreational use. But as of right now, marijuana is still classified as a Schedule I substance by the DEA. That is the same classification as heroin. And it comes with harsh penalties for possession, sale, and cultivation, including up to a year in prison for first-time offenders. For decades, these laws have disproportionately impacted communities of color. But if passed, this bill could take real steps to remedy that damage. Let's talk about it. Joining me now is Danny Cevallos. He is a criminal attorney and an MSNBC legal analyst. Danny, before we get into this new bill, let's talk about the current landscape of marijuana laws, because it seems like a really complicated patchwork quilt, if you will. I mean, you have clients who are dealing with the ins and outs of it now. You're just not a TV lawyer, you're a real lawyer. So help us explain how the balance between federal and state laws on marijuana work right now.
Yeah, we are in a crazy situation here because marijuana is illegal at the federal level. Any state that decides they want to legalize or decriminalize marijuana, they can go ahead and do so. But the only reason that the FBI isn't busting down their door or the DEA is because the federal government just doesn't feel like it. And that's a dangerous place to be when the federal government has a law that criminalizes something, but they're just saying, cross our fingers, hey, we promise we're not going to enforce it. That just means that the next person in charge can decide to enforce that law. And it doesn't give citizens certainty about what their conduct is prohibited and what conduct is not prohibited. So different states have a patchwork of different marijuana laws, but fundamentally, marijuana is still illegal at the federal level. And if you don't believe me, unfortunately, I have a few clients who have done some significant time for marijuana.
Unfortunately, I know many people who have, and juxtapose that with the fact that in places across our country, people who do not necessarily look like me are making millions and millions of dollars off of marijuana. Okay, so thank you for adjusting and laying out the landscape for us. Let's talk about this bill that would federally decriminalize marijuana. It also allows states to set their own laws. So talk to me about what this means for folks who want to use marijuana for recreation or for medical reasons.
This is a major movement in the direction of essentially completely decriminalizing marijuana. And look, the framers had in mind that we should use the states as laboratories to experiment with different laws. And this is the kind of thing that will return that power to the states to decide whether or not they want to criminalize or decriminalize marijuana. And at least at the federal level, it will remove that kind of barrier to the states to create their own laws. By the way, individual states may still choose to criminalize marijuana, but decriminalizing it at the federal level creates a situation where the states can now make their own decisions about this particular product, item, whatever you want to call it, drug, whatever the case may be.
So what does the bill then do to, we just talked about the communities that were impacted by previous federal penalties. You talk about your clients who are in jail right now. So how does the bill address that gap?
One of the biggest things it does is it proposes to expunge people's records. This is a pretty long, complicated word. And, you know, a lot of people hear the word sponge in there, and I wonder if it's the same root. It literally means to clean your record. And this is a huge deal because I tell people all the time, whether or not you're ultimately convicted, having even an arrest record can stick you in the netherworld of unemployability in the United States. If you even show up in a car stop on a police officer's MDT mobile data terminal as having been arrested or even convicted, that totally changes the contours of the police citizen encounter at even a routine car stop. So in life, you want to avoid even being anywhere on police or court records, and that includes an arrest without a conviction. And an expungement of nonviolent marijuana offenses would go a long way to taking people out of the world of banishment from employment, banishment from participating in life, to being regular citizens able to pursue their dreams without the yoke of a marijuana conviction.
Oh, Danny, the United States Senate, they have yet to do a lot, so we will be watching this one very closely. Danny Cevallos, not just your TV lawyer, folks. Thank you for being here.